It's funny because, a lot of times when there's a Rocky or a Rambo or some sort of Stallone perspective, got to get JT on there. But I know a lot about a lot of movies, directors.
Sure.
De Palma's one of the people I grew up watching. We're going to talk about
Very
some of his
70s,
classics.
80s guy,
Yeah, and he's one of those directors who, lets you know he's directing. He's not one of those directors where it's like, some directors, they're great, don't get me wrong, but you're like, I don't know exactly who shot this. De Palma has his tricks.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. He's one of those directors you're like, yep, it's a Brian De Palma movie. Not to the extreme like Wes Anderson. It's not that, oh my God, that's style over substance. Even though I think Wes Anderson balances that pretty well. He has a lot of style, though. But De Palma, you'll be watching a movie, and then there'll be that tracking shot. Then there'll be that split screen shot, and you're like, "Oh, that's right. This is the Palma movie."
He's a master. He's a master of that.
He really, brought some real. When it comes to editing, and doing some in-camera tricks, I think he brought a lot to the table. And every time you watch his movies, sometimes he indulges them a little bit more than he should. But sometimes that could be the best part of his movie, like Snake Eyes.
Yeah.
The best part of that movie is the first 15 minutes, which is
long
one take.
Yeah, with Nicolas Cage.
Yeah, the movie kind of fall parts after that, but that's De Palma showing you what he can do.
Sure. Yeah. What's great too is that he isn't just stuck in one genre. He's done so many different genres too, and that kind of makes it very interesting. And he really is that kind of guy who's very studied and knows what he's talking about. And started out as a camera guy.
Yeah, he takes a lot of influence from foreign cinema. The same way a lot of the guys that came out in the 60s, 70s film school era did. Takes a lot of his influence from Hitchcock, obviously.
Definitely Hitchcock.
A lot of people call him the Hitchcock ripoff. I don't think that's fair to say because not many people. A lot of people have tried the Hitchcock ripoff.
Hitchcock ain't making Scarface.
Yeah.
He has his own flavor too.
Yeah,
but I know, especially when it comes to some of the camera tricks he does, I think that's where a lot of people, the way he builds suspense.
Right.
I think he found his footing in suspense before anything else.
He doesn't use Hitchcock and Brian De Palma actually don't use a lot of the similar type of styles and ideas and shit. It's the idea of tension. It's the idea of suspense that people recognize him as that.
So. Before we get into it a little bit more, I kind of want to mention a little bit of his bio. It's interesting you say that, RB3. I'm sure you're checking with the same thing I'm checking. But he said one of his biggest inspirations is Hitchcock, and specifically Vertigo is his favorite one, and he loves Vertigo, and that's his biggest inspiration for a movie. He also said the French New Wave. And also, during this time period, it was very Vietnam War, very political kind of attitude, and that kind of made him want to do films, which is kind of an interesting idea that politics and this tension between the government and the people makes you want to do movies.
Right.
And funny enough, he's one. And this was going to be something I mentioned later, but I have to mention this. This is one of those legends who hanged out with Martin Scorsese, Steven Spielberg, George Lucas.
He was part of that crew.
These guys were a crew, and they would share scripts, show each other movies, help each other out, compete with each other, try to one-up one another, invite each other to set. It's super freaking cool, man. When you see those behind the scenes with them hanging out, I saw it in the Steven Spielberg documentary, and they also showed in the Palma documentary.
Right.
But when they're hanging out, you're like, yo, that's crazy.
It was one of those documentaries where Spielberg actually went to the set of Scarface and helped him with the shootout scene. Even helped him stage it out. It's crazy to think, as somebody who's went to film school and RB3, you just graduated, you get help from your friends when you're in that school environment. You all kind of pitch in. You're like, oh, you're making a movie? How can I help you out?
Right.
To think he could do that with Scorsese, Coppola, Spielberg. It's not like he just had, some other director to pull. He had the best directors.
That to me is the craziest part, because every name on that crew is legends.
The top of the top.
The top of the top.
Yeah.
These guys invented Hollywood.
It's weird to think Spielberg helped him with Scarface.
Yeah.
'Cause Scarface is the most anti-Spielberg movie.
Very over the top.
If I ever saw Spielberg directed Scarface, it wouldn't just... I can't imagine it. I can't imagine that movie being told by
That's
Steven
what's
Spielberg.
so great, man. That's what's so cool about the same with George Lucas, too, with the Star Wars connection.
And
it's so cool.
he helped George Lucas come up with the idea of having the scroll at the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, that's right. That was De Palma, right?
Yeah. Because he showed it, because George Lucas showed it to Spielberg and all these people.
Yep.
And everybody was like, yeah, this shit fucking sucks, man.
I don't know what's going on, right?
Yeah.
You got to tell me what's going on. And that's what he came up with, this scroll. Let's get into some of his films.